Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 6. Before we start the presentation, let me tell you about our group members. They are me, Ria Puspita Dewi, and then Visa Raniko, Vidya Dwi Andriani, Yunia Sapitri, Ridwan Hidayat, and Susila Mardani. Now, we're going to present the material about grading and student evaluation.
The philosophy of grading. Grades in the realm of education are standardized measurement of a varying level of comprehension within a subject area. Grades can be assigned in letters, for example, A, B, C, D, E, or F. As range, for example, 4.0 until 1.0. As a number out of a possible total, for example, out of 20 or 100. As a descriptors, for example, excellent, great, satisfactory, or needs improvement. In percentages, or as is common in some post-secondary institutions in some countries as a grade point average or GPA. Philosophy of grading that is consistent with your philosophy of teaching and evaluation. The next material is guidelines for selecting grading criteria. First, be consistent with institutional philosophy and regulation. The second, provide grading criteria and weights of each component. Third, recognize own subjectivity and do not change rubrics or policies at the last minute. And the last, focus on main elements for learning or achievement.
Methods for calculating grades. If you specify standards of performance on a numerical point system, you are using absolute grading. For example, having established points for midterm tests, point for a final exam, and point accumulated for the semester. You might adhere to the specification in the table 12.1 in this page. The key to making an absolute grading system work is to be painstakingly clear on competencies and tasks and other assessment techniques that will figure into the formula for assigning a grade. If you are unclear and haphazard in your definition of criteria for grading, the grades that are ultimately assigned are relatively meaningless. And relative grading. Relative grading is more commonly used than absolute grading. It has the advantage of allowing your own interpretation and of adjusting for unpredicted ease or difficulty of test. Relative grading is usually accomplished by ranking students in order of performance, in parentheses, percentile ranks, and assigning cutoff points for grades.
Okay, I'm here. I want to explain the material. Teacher perception of appropriate grade distribution. Most teachers bring to a test or cross evaluation and interpretation of its appropriate distribution and make minor adjustments to compensate for such matters as unexpected difficulty. This prevailing attitude toward a relative grading system is well accepted and non-controversial. The distribution was a virtual carbon copy of what they had just defined as a trailing group of students. They all agreed that the previous semester students had not shown unusual excellence in their performance in work and calculation of several prior semesters yield similar distribution.
I'm Yunia. Today I will explain about institutional expectation and constraints, a consideration of philosophies of grading and of procedures of calculating grades is not complete without a focus on the role of the institution in determining grades. Being cognizant of an institutional philosophy of grading is an important step toward a consistent and fair evaluation of your students. Cross-culture factors and the question of difficulty. In many cultures, the first, it is unheard of to ask a student to self-assess performance. The second, the teacher assign a grade and nobody question the teacher's criteria. Third, the measure of a good teacher, one who can design a test that is so difficult that no student could achieve a perfect score. Fourth, grades are reserved for a highly selected few. 5. One single final examination is the objective determinant of a student's entire course grade. And the last, the nation of a teachers preparing students to to do their best on a test is an educational contradiction. How do you gauge such difficulty as you design a classroom test that has not had the luxury of filtering and free testing? It is usually a combination of a number of possible pictures. Experience as a teacher, adeptness at designing feasible tasks, special care in priming items that are clear and relevant, mirroring in class tasks that students have mastered, variation of tasks on the test itself, reference to peer tests in the same course, a thorough review and preparation for a test, knowledge of your student collective abilities, a little bit of luck.
I will explain my first material, what do letter grades mean, and supposes institutional philosophy of grading, whether it is explicitly stated or implicit, pre-expectations for grade distribution and for a meaning or description of each grade. Typically, institutional manuals for teachers and students will list the following descriptors of letter grades: A. Excellent, B. Good, C. Adequate, D. Inadequate or unsatisfactory, F. Failing or unacceptable. Notice that the C grade is described as adequate rather than average. Alternative to letter grading. Letter grades and along with the numerical scores are only one form of student evaluation. The principle of triangulation cautions us to provide as many forms of evaluation as are feasible. A more detailed look is now appropriate for a few of the summative alternatives to grading, particularly self-assessment, narrative evaluation, checklists, and conferences. 1. Self-assessment. Here the focus is specifically on the feasibility of the students commenting on their own achievement in a whole course of study. 2. Narrative evaluation. In protest against the widespread use of letter grades as exclusive indicators of achievement, a number of institutions have at one time or another required narrative evaluation of students. 3. Checklist evaluation. To compensate for the time consuming impracticality of narrative evaluation, some programs option for a compromise, a checklist with brief comments from the teacher, ideally followed by a conference and or a response from the student. 4. Conferences. We already know that the impracticality of scheduling sessions with students is offset by its WhatsApp benefits. That's all my material. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Calculating grades. One of the more common complaints uttered by teachers centers on the mundane task of simply calculating grades, adding up test and quiz results, factoring in other performance measures, and ultimately coming up with a final grade. If you're somewhat new at this business, you might want to consider consulting any of a plethora of web resources available on the internet. For example, you can read on the slide. Some principles and guidelines for grading and evaluation. There are several characteristics of grading and evaluation that are: grading is not necessarily based on a universally accepted scale. Grading is sometimes subjective and context dependent. For more details, you can read in the material book. For summary of guidelines for grading and evaluation, you can see on the slide or material book. When you assign a letter grade to students, the letter should be symbolic of your approach to teaching. In a communicative language classroom, that approach usually implies meaningful learning, authenticity, building of student autonomy, student-teacher collaboration, a community of learners, and the perception that your role is that of facilitator or coach rather than a director or dictator. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.